Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Fun Shoot Podcast with me, Jong. I'm sitting here with one of the most gorgeous people that I slid into the DMs on Instagram. While I have a little bit of time in between my old work and my new work, I wanted to do as many amazing projects so that I have content for the rest of the year. So I just looked at the most gorgeous, seemingly talented people that I've seen on the interwebs. And luckily, the most wonderful Jac Attaque said yes to little old me. Jac, how are you?
I'm doing good. Happy to be here. Thanks for sliding in the DM.
Oh, no, it's like we, of course, most of my friends are performers, and our circles are kind of the same. And your image has been popping up here and there.
That's right? Good to know.
It's good to know.
That's great to hear, actually.
So, yes. well, again, granted, my feed is a little bit more inclined to the burlesque sideshow circus scene, but
sure, yes,
I could not like save some of the shots or make sure that we get to shoot. But also, you've shot with one of my favorite photographers, close friend of the show, Thiek Smith. And it was funny enough that the first episode of season 2, we had Thiek on the pod, and as per usual, I asked my guests to send their favorite shots. And of course, one of their shots was you.
That's so cool.
Right? So before anything else, before I get into housekeeping and anything else, Jac, tell the people who you are.
So my name is Jac Attaque, also known as Jacqueline. I'm a burlesque performer in New York City, fairly new performer, actually. I'm not afraid to admit that. I've been doing this for about 6 months to a year. And yeah, I mean, it's something that I've been wanting to do. I really started to become intrigued with the burlesque scene during COVID. And it was also a style of dance that I've never done before. I've done many other styles. I mean, I trained in ballet and modern dance my entire life. Went to college for it.
Ooh.
Yep. And then became a college professor back home in California. And then, I kind of started realizing that I wanted to do more with my dance career. So I came to New York and went to grad school for dance. And so I went to Tisch, did that, and
NYU, what up?
It was good. And, got all that under my belt and realized, and then COVID hit, of course, but then realized, in the arsenal that is my toolkit of dance genres, the one thing that I haven't done was burlesque.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, and also, of course, I'm getting a little older and certain things start to hurt more than they used to when I was younger. So no more rolling on the ground, no more high jumps, no split leaves, whatever you want to call them. Couldn't do it anymore. So I was like, I want to do something that's has a little bit more refined movement to it. And so then I actually slid into a burlesque performer's DMs. And
it's a method of communication now.
Yeah. And I got lucky. Yeah. I got really lucky. And so that's what I'm doing now. And I'm just kind of
I do like, one of the reasons why most of my friends are performers and most of said performers are burlesque people, it's a fairly accessible art form / community / activity, right?
Yeah.
It's not just like, dancing on stage and taking your clothes off. There's a little bit of comedy in there. So actors and actresses are people that are working on their communication skills or expression skills are drawn to it. It's not just making fancy costumes and fun costumes to take off, but also like dancers are very, very drawn to it because you have at least one of the major elements of it.
Yeah.
You don't have to be super hip hop, modern jazz tap master, but if you can work on dance on beat, make a little choreo. So so you said you studied dance, ballet?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I wanted to be, I was a Vaganova, like Russian ballet trained ballerina. Didn't go far with that.
I was like,
real hardcore stuff. Taught me a lot about life in general, to be honest. A lot about discipline, respect, just really, like respecting your like the masters and being humble, like you're humbled all the time doing ballet. So it's just constantly feeling humbled and just happy to be there and happy to learn. First and foremost, a student of life. So I just want to always like, I always want to just know that there's always more to learn. And so that was ballet for me. And even though I didn't want to pursue it professionally, I did pursue modern dance professionally. I was in a modern company in LA. And that was kind of more like the foundation of my teaching at the end of the day when I became a professor at a junior college. And the way that everything's translatable. And even when I graduated from NYU for my grad school degree, my thesis was actually how different forms of dance can be bridged and how they communicate between each other. And even if they are technically different industries, like there's the commercial world and there's the concert dance world, how do we bridge it? And then when COVID happened, it's like, oh, my thesis actually is working because now we have ballet dancers doing the WAP and and it's a hit. And it
Well,
translates.
to be fair though, everybody can do the WAP. I can do the WAP, but that is amazing to hear because in any discipline, art form, martial arts, sports, creative outlets, I love hearing the fact that you take on, it's the discipline, it's the respect. You can't really break boundaries or create something new until you have some both emotional, academic respect to certain people that came before you, because you wouldn't know what rules to break or bend if you don't know the rules in the first place.
Exactly. And so coming into the burlesque scene, which was, as you were saying, it's like it's very accessible. So messaging, who is now my good friend, messaging her and just understanding and learning. I was like, I'm just coming into this as a fresh pair of eyes here. I just want to learn and immerse myself as much as possible and with the most grace as possible. I don't know what the world looks like in this burlesque scene, so I'm tiptoeing my way in. And that being said, it's like I feel like the reason why I've had such a really positive response is because I've always, entered with like a sense of grace and patience and respect for the people who are already there and who've been doing this, and really respecting and understanding how they have, perfected their craft and how like, okay, what can I bring to this world that might be a little different, or whatever,
That music to my ears because, for, conversations with friends within the community as well, because there is a problem where we are very open. Like we are now in a generation where you shouldn't be saying no, or you should be just accepting everybody that walks into whatever field that you are doing right now. But we don't want people to be privileged to go in it. Like, hey, I know how to dance. I'm a great hip hop dancer. I'm gonna kill it in burlesque. You may. It's a good possibility.
It's possible,
but having the respect to at least learn, ask good questions, be open to both teaching and criticism is going to be great, because that's exactly what the photography has always been the case in the past maybe decade. Anybody who has $500 can buy a camera and print out a business card, and they think that they're a photographer.
Sure, of course.
But the ones that are the best ones, the ones that I try to emulate, are the ones where it's like, all right, I'm gonna learn as much as I can. I'm gonna ask questions. I'm gonna be humble.
Yep.
And I'm just gonna keep on grinding. It seems like you've gotten the best out of your ballet training.
It's definitely helped. I will say the dance background has been a much easier transition going into this. And it's something that, fellow dancers or fellow burlesque performers have told me. They're like, you being a dancer and having that experience it really helps.
Yeah.
So I don't take any of it for granted by no means. And, even though I've had such crazy training in the ballet world and the modern, like traditional modern dance too, and then really trying to stretch that type of just like that type of dance form within at Tisch, and really going from all different angles and then somehow being here. it's been a very interesting experience, and how I'm able to translate a very conceptual, a very contemporary art form into now a very, very historical piece of art.
Yeah.
Like, people don't like to talk about it that much, but burlesque is as old as Isadora Duncan
100%.
and like Anita Berber, and then there's Isadora Duncan.
Yeah, roots in vaudeville. When you go to that's the fun thing too. When I started diving deeper into the community, because I'm never gonna perform.
You should.
No. I'm way better when people are not seeing me, right? But the idea when started reading a little bit about it or hearing a lot of stories, when people go to a circus show, a vaudeville show, the start of the show, yeah, people are like, performers are clothed.
Yeah.
Mom and the kids go play around in the circus, go take on some rides, pet some donkeys, and the dads stay on the stage. And then now the performers take their clothes off for dads. So it's like, oh,
yeah,
very practical. I kind of like that,
Totally.
But, talking more about like your background as a dancer, training as a dancer, this is something I love discussing with not just performers, but any other form of creative is, now tell me the day job, and tell me the night job, and tell me what job we really want to do.
Oh, okay.
Right.
So the current day job is I'm an event coordinator, and a lot of it is just contractual work. So it's from job to job. I love it, especially being in New York and working in events. It's allowed me to meet so many people and to work with different types of people and have different type of clientele, and and having so much experience in customer service and working in hospitality back in California, and just really understanding people, as annoying as people can be sometimes. I will say that, but just it's understanding and having just like the grace for people, because maybe I didn't do anything wrong, but I'm going to be like, they're going to project, and that's okay. That's fine. They're human. We're all human. And so I think understanding how people are and just being able to handle those kind of like sticky situations at times, which I find I'm pretty good at doing. So that's why I think having like being in events and understanding customer service and hospitality, and then also like the restaurant industry and working at a venue at times, like, so understanding nightlife, it all kind of blends. And so that's what I'm really trying to like get the most experience out of, is just how all of the working pieces work and to make it into one. Now, that's the day job. And the night job is, being a burlesque performer. So at times, sometimes my worlds do kind of intertwine a little bit. I'll be working an event, or I'll like be planning an event, and then later that night, I'm also dancing on that same stage, completely unrelated with the people. But it happens. It happens often. And but the thing is, especially in New York, people love it.
Oh yeah, I
think it's great.
It's just I love hearing what people do during the day, at night, during weekends, because one, it's New York. The unfortunate thing is, it's a very tough city to live in. Everything is very expensive. If you have one gig, you might be missing out on, or you might not be making your rent on a month-on-month basis.
Yeah.
So a lot of the people that I talk to it's hard because I have very, very few talents. And I'm lucky that I, have a decent day job that makes me explore more of my passion, which is photography and videography.
Totally.
But a lot of people, performers like yourselves, I don't know if I can, find, just week on week, different gigs, dance on different stuff. And you have to have multiple you can't just be, particular burlesque performer, you can't just be a good burlesque performer.
No.
You need to know costume. Either making them or having somebody make them for you.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And then you are networking, you're finding your gigs.
You're saying all the things right now. It's not just being a performer. It's not just being able to like have costumes. Just the costumes alone is a whole like that's something. It takes so much prep work to be a burlesque performer. And that's the reason why I can say I've only been actually performing for the last 6 months to a year, because prior to that, I'm learning how to make costumes. I'm learning what actually reads on the stage, what what glue they use, where you're buying your rhinestones, like things like that. It took so much research prior to even like slapping it on and being like, okay, now we're performing. So yeah, and then the networking. I'm a fairly social person. I mean, don't get me wrong, I definitely like to be. I'm a homebody for sure, but in a social situation, I thrive. I really do, especially when there's liquor involved. I thrive. I love a night scene. But it's an interesting because I'm such a social person in the evenings, but then it's like, oh, but this is also work now.
Yeah.
So trying to understand like, okay, this is a networking possibility or an opportunity really. And then, being on the stage, but then also being able to like talk to people after. And, it's there's a lot of working pieces in this scene for sure.
You said like getting your rhinestones, learning how to do makeup, like even on shoots themselves, because like you guys are making your own collaterals and marketing materials too. We're gonna discuss later your favorite photo. This is point of the show. It's a photography podcast. We're talking about photos. But yeah, you're making business cards and whatnot, making time for shoots like this. I myself, I look at it as like, that's too many things to do for one person, but if it's your passion, your passion.
It's a lot. I feel like every day I'm realizing that there's another thing that I need to add on to my, to my image or to this job, because I've always been, as much as a creator or creative person as, I've always been, there's a thing about self-promotion that really scares me and really makes me feel more vulnerable than it really should. And so even just having, like, throwing pictures up on my Instagram, it takes a lot out of me to just post a photo. And it's one thing if it's just like a story and I'm just doing something quick and easy and silly, whatever. But if it's going to be on the feed, and the fact that I even have to think about this is like, oh, I have to, like, what do I want my professional image to look like? But I'm also such a, like, I have friends, I'm going out and I like to share what I'm like when I'm being casual. And, all these things, like, you have to consider all these things, especially when you're in a freelance type of environment and you have to promote yourself or else you're not going to get anywhere. And so it's hard for me. Yeah. It's really hard. But we do it.
Yeah. Well, at least, your industry, which is events right now for the day job.
Yes.
It's a little bit more forgiving in terms of it's actually more homogeneous to the fact that, I'm an event coordinator, but I'm also performing at working events, so it kind of adds to the credibility of you knowing your stuff, right? A lot of burlesque performers out there have corporate day jobs,
right,
where it needs to have like a real distinct difference between what is day and what is night. Like I'm a school teacher during the day, and then I'm doing burlesque at night. There's nothing wrong with doing both. But the idea of it is like, they're parents that you need to be cognizant about and whatnot.
Of course.
But speaking of that and doing like, so many jobs, like what inspires you to do what you're doing now?
Just like artistically? It's very easy, especially I'm noticing this as I get older, it's very easy to get stagnant. And the thing about just being a creative type is there's always things changing and you have the power to change it. And I think that's kind of like a glossed over way of saying it's like, I can create something whenever I feel like it. And that's what makes me feel like I'm actually like that's the sense of fulfillment. That's the satisfaction, is the fact that like I can create something, even if it's not going to be seen or even if it sucks, I'm still making something, and I know somewhere, somehow, I'm improving something in my life. Like maybe I'm learning a new gluing technique for my rhinestones, or maybe I'm even taking photos. I don't take photos. Like I'm scared to take photos at times, and so I'm learning.
Well, it didn't seem like it today. It's like everything was. Again, if you're listening to this, go to the YouTube channels, watch our behind the scenes of me and Jac's first shoot together. I was kind of blown away. And I do this a lot. So that's I'm very lucky and honored to have like people like Jac to be shooting with me. But also that's the thing where I don't get to speak with my subjects a lot. Not only because I'm a little bit socially awkward or a little bit
You
shy.
are?
I'm very socially. Well, one on one, I'll crush. I'll crush something between 4 to 6 people. I'll crush it.
Okay.
Put me in a housewarming party or a bar. I'm like, nope.
Sure.
Just put me where the drinks are, and I'll.
It
drink by
does.
myself.
The liquid courage does help.
100%,
It
yeah.
totally does help.
But it's good speaking with people like this because like I would never know. Because if it's in my brain, it's always like if I'm this hot, I'm gonna post all my shit. Every 6 hours there's going to be a new photo of me.
Oh my God. I'm so
Post it.
self-conscious. I am so
Yeah.
self-conscious. I mean, sure,
Mm.
I live in a world like I don't care what anyone thinks of me, but also at times I'm like I'm hypercritical of
Yeah.
myself and I should have done this differently.
You think about what you think about yourself. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter what they think.
Yes.
But if you don't feel comfortable, and again, that's the reason why we'll never know what people are struggling with or working on internally. And through their
Mhm.
brain, you can see the most fit person, and then they still have body dysmorphia.
Totally.
You can see like me, a little fat blob, and I don't care. I'll eat 20 nuggets later.
Whatever.
Which I will, yeah. So it's
Whatever.
kind of great.
Yeah.
But it's good hearing that, but also, like, I like hearing what makes you tick, and you're just a creator. You just want to create.
I just want to make stuff.
It's dope.
That's it. I just want to make things and maybe put on display, maybe not. And yeah, I mean, I think, well, going back to speaking of putting things on display and also like what's the dream job? If I wasn't in events, if I wasn't a dancer, I would be an interior decorator.
Ooh.
I love it. I
That's
love
dope.
interior design so much to the point where I almost went to school for it or wanted to go back to school for it because I was like, well, what's another degree at this point? You know, I'm a millennial. Both my degrees don't matter. So why not just have another one? And so,
Which is a little bit more commercially viable too.
yes,
There you
exactly.
go. So there's a justification there. It's almost free.
It's basically free, right? But I didn't do it just because like money was a thing. But money's a thing. I still have some student loans to pay off.
Yeah.
But I wanted to do that. So it's like anything. I love a visual moment. I love like the thing about just like living objects. Like you can literally just move it. My apartment is constantly changing.
That is awesome.
I mean, my boyfriend hates it. He doesn't hate it. He's just like, oh, more feng shui, more feng shui.
Do you have him move it though?
No, I do it all
There you
myself.
go. It's like if you're moving stuff yourself, like more power to you.
I already moved it, and then I'll tell him, hey, I moved the apartment around. He's like, okay.
Oh my god! See, I'm one of those where like I watch garbage TV, but not the bottom of the rung garbage like Bachelor. I'm sorry, not sorry.
That's okay.
I don't do like the 90 Day Fiance, The Bachelor.
That's a good one, though.
I know, but like the thing is, like I don't. It's like that's a little too much for me.
Mhm.
But put a home rental series on. Oh,
It's good. It's like a cooking show for me. It's like, oh my god, like
Mhm.
there's something about this that just like it feeds my soul.
the thing is, like you're right. Having things moved at the right place that is not only visually aesthetic but also functional.
Totally.
That's the one that gets me off. That's why my thing is cords. Like I try to, most of my stuff is wireless,
Mhm.
or when I get really, really stressed, I will reorganize the cords behind my computer.
I wish I had that
Yeah.
skill.
So I don't want to see cords.
Mhm.
And the good thing about it is it looks good, but also it's functional. Now I know where things go, but it's
Totally.
really difficult. But interior design,
Interior design,
more
yeah.
power. I think you should.
I mean, I will. I mean, I know I'm not going to be a dancer forever, but then again, why not dance forever?
No? Well,
No.
yeah. You just make it, from jump splits and rolling on the floor. Now you're just like shimmying, maybe
Yep.
like a little bit of jiggle,
Maybe.
just like less movement.
I mean, maybe. My grandma was a dancer. I mean, she's still alive and kicking.
Oh,
Yeah, and she does senior citizen hula dancing.
God damn it!
I know.
I can't even hula right now. I'm gonna break my waist. Grandma's killing
and
it.
she does line dancing. She was doing Zumba for a while, and yeah. Oh yeah, and she's still. I mean, she's not doing it as much now. She's in her late 90s.
I don't even
Yeah.
know if I can count that high.
So when I say I'm like I can dance forever because my grandma does
Yeah.
it. Like
Yeah, it's in the
I mean,
blood.
I may not be able to do the ballet stuff anymore, but as long as I'm moving and grooving, who cares?
That's right.
So-
You're entertaining yourself. You're exercising.
Yeah.
But you're also entertaining everybody else. Which is really
Yeah.
good.
I mean, dance to me is, it's world cultures. Everyone understands what dance is. It makes everyone happy. It gets the endorphins going. It doesn't matter what you're doing. People love it. It's good for you.
Yeah. And, we're talking about dance, we're talking about dream jobs, but so you're performer, you're creative, you create stuff, both events as the day job. You make that happen, but also like your burlesque at night. Where do you get your ideas from? Where do you steal it from?
Instagram has been a great reference. Pinterest, huge so that also goes
very visual. Like
everything's visual. Like I have so many photos saved on my phone from my own Pinterest. So it's like I have like duplicates everywhere because I always want to be reminded of the things. Like there's something about this photo that really speaks to me. I can't figure out what it is yet, but there's something about it that really does it for me. And it could be interior design. It could be in burlesque. I reference a lot of old fashion collections, and that's been, I mean, my costuming right now is still quite small in comparison to a lot of other performers, but I do draw a lot of inspiration from, like high brand, like really high fashion things, and just like even taking like little qualities that I really like certain button styles or how they did their bedazzlement, things like that, how they work with their lace. It's something that I try to do with my costumes. And then, I mean, as far as people are concerned, I mean, I do have this one girl crush on this one performer in the city. She knows, but I'm going to say it anyways. Her name is Lillian.
Everybody loves Lillian. Lillian Lace, yeah?
Lillian Burlesque.
Oh, Lillian Burlesque, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. But she's really great. She's really great. And I, it's funny. I actually started following her before I even moved to New York, before even New York was even a thought was even a thought. I just really loved her aesthetic. She's a contortionist and she's a burlesque performer. Yeah. And it's a very, very small circle. So like Lillian is friends with friends, seen her on dates, and seen her on she's also the contortionist circle of burlesque performers and contortionists. We have a couple of them. Apathy Angels, the other one is like it's very very close friend. So it is if somebody says like I have a little crush on, who doesn't? I know. It's so predictable, but also it's like who can smoke a cigarette from her foot wrapped around behind? I know. I mean, there's a reason why she's so successful. And even like it's the weird stuff where you're like, that looks so easy, but it's not. And it just looks so good, and it just looks great on stage. It photographs well. It's interesting to look at, and she just kind of has that whole package. And so, I mean, there's really nothing she can do, or there's nothing I can do that would emulate her because I am not a contortionist, and whatever. And my costume style is very different than hers, but there's something about that, like, it's just, there's something about her art form that just attracts my eyes so much. And I think that's really, and also she has, like, she's so, like, diligent and disciplined in her craft. She's always working on something, and you see it, like, you can see her working on her craft. And I really respect that. And that's just something like, okay, I need to do more. I can do more, I may not be able to look like her or do the things she does, but her craft is the way it is because she's so diligent. The process we can always emulate. You can't, same with me and Thika. We shoot kind of the same people. We have tangential and circles of friends and whatnot, but we like the female form. We like photography. We like darker, more moodier stuff. But we can't take our shots cannot be way more different than each other. Yeah, like he's more movement, action. It's like I don't know. It's like we've been talking about. It's like this is what creators do. Like I can give you the tools, the instructions, but you'll probably make something different. Yeah. I mean, speaking of the process, I mean, even between shooting with you and then with Theek, it's like the process, it is different in how you guys kind of like, I call it coaching, but how you coach us into like different shapes and movement quality, and it shows in the photos. Even if like I don't know. It feels different, but it also is like, this is helping me a lot as someone who doesn't really photograph that much,
No.
like, or model that much. It's really helpful to have good coach-like photographers.
Yeah, well, but
Yeah.
also, yeah, that'll change fairly soon because I know my shots. I'm pretty okay. I'm not gonna pretend to be like the Steve Prue or the Ben Trivets out there, but you know, I know when there's a good shots, and like just looking at the back of the camera, I'm very, very excited. It's like, shit, which one I'm gonna pick? Now I'm gonna have to spend more time to look at these photos because now I can't, which one I'm gonna pick. But
There's options.
speaking of that, and like in your look and your costumes, like what is the Jac Attaque brand? So if you have like the usual elevator, you're pitched to a producer or something. It's like, oh, I'm putting up a show.
Mm-hmm.
What performance do you do?
I mean, I guess my whole look at this, like right now, it's very, I'm very drawn to 80s and 90s aesthetic. I love a grunge moment.
Oh.
Even like on a personal level, I really love it. I love it. So how I'm able to, then that's kind of been like the tricky, challenging part is because I want to be able to give that 90s feeling, but to burlesque, which is very shine and bright, it's very bright and very glittery. And so that's kind of what the image is for me right now, where it's like, I really love I love glam. I feel like I'm a very glam, very moody performer. I don't do a lot of comedy yet, something I'm working on, but I don't do a lot of comedy. I definitely keep a very kind of serious tone. And if I do something more fun, it's definitely going to be just glam all the way. But I also do like to incorporate other things in my acts where it's like for instance, I have an act right now that's it's very like flamenco Latin dance based.
All right.
And so really trying to bring in my big dance components that I've picked up over the years and trying to create acts based on that. So I guess the image right now is, high glam, POC, dancer, burlesque. I mean, I wish I had a more eloquent way of saying.
and you are, a year in the burlesque scene.
Oh, I'm still learning.
It's
I still don't know
super
how to
baby, and it'll grow and develop. But it's always good to have some kind of like right now. If I'm gonna jump into a show, at least you can like me, who knows a few people. Like, all right, there is metal grade burlesque. Like whenever they do not super metal stuff, and they're gonna do like a Nirvana week, right?
Yeah.
Like grunge rock, whatever. It's like, oh, I got a friend Jack, and we have other people like that as well. So it's good, and it's weird because like the photos that I remember of you from your Instagram, from other people's Instagram feeds mostly, is I would have thought that like you were like the vintage classic glam kind of stuff, right? So it's kind of good to know. It's like, all right, now there's my interpretation of different subjects is not on target all the time. So it's good to have this like totally different layer. It's like, oh, now I want to see that 80s, 90s high glam kind of stuff.
Yeah. I'm still figuring it out. But yeah, there is still a lot of like what you're saying, vintage glam. But I think that's, at least for me, it's easy for me to do that. It just feels innate. But also with the 90s kind of like grungy feel too, it's like I'm trying to bring an edge to it, but sometimes it's like when I go vintage, I go real vintage. So really,
that's when we were shooting, that's where I saw a lot. There is a lot of edge there, which is kind of great. And speaking of edges, and this is still a photography podcast ish. I hang out with cool people and try to learn as much from them. One of the things, one of the segments of this podcast is talking about your favorite shot. I like doing that because one, I'll probably steal it because I'm a photographer. That's how it goes. And two, it's always great to see how the subjects gravitate, what they think is best, what you thought of, what is your favorite, because in the end, I can have the most technical view on this is the shot for you, this is your angle, etc., but it doesn't matter if you don't feel great at that. It's always in the end, it's who your client is, who your subject is. So on your screen right now, we're gonna flash literally the photo of Jack that she sent as her favorite photo. So I love the shot, but I'll let you describe it first for both the photo and audio listeners, and then I'll
Okay.
break it down a little bit more technically as well.
Great. So I think the reason why I like this so much, I like the angles. And just knowing myself as a dancer, I know there's certain areas like technique wise where I'm like, oh, this is like this hurts or this doesn't feel good to do. But somehow in this photo, it worked. So on a dancer level, I was able to get my body into a position that I like, that thankfully translates really well. And so that's part of the reason why I like it. I like the angles. I like the shadow effect. I do love a high contrast moment too. And then also, this is actually, well, I mean, I do a lot of, like, obviously I'm very used to being nude, semi-nude, all of that. But there's something about this where maybe it's just me, like I see a nude body or a semi-nude body, but it really does capture what burlesque is. It's a tease.
Yep.
You're not seeing really anything. You don't see much, but it's there.
Yeah.
And then just with and then the glam with the gloves and the angles and the posture of it all. I'm just really satisfied with the overall look.
Yeah, of course, even from afar, this is a killer shot. Exactly how I described it. There's lots of angles, lots of triangles, very athletic pose. So, and again, even before Jack Jack told me who photographed this. Like this is a thick shot. But on a more technical front, this is a full body, high contrast, black and white shot of Jack, a little grainy, because that's how Thick does it. The pose is how you going to. I will akin to it as like a flamingo, like one leg up, crossed. The thing that I love is I love hands up shots because it is equally a powerful pose because like you are flexing in a way, but it's also equally vulnerable because you're exposing certain areas of a body that most people tend to not show. Like it's weird how when people see somebody's posing with hands up and they say, "Oh, it's sexy," but they don't want it's the armpit. Nobody sees the armpit, right? Nobody you can people see boobs and crotch all the time and butt all the time, but armpits people kind of tend to hide them. So when it's open like that, it's a little bit more inviting, but it's also a strong pose. High gloves, like long gloves.
Yeah,
right? That's the thing. That's the very very burlesque thing that I really like.
Yeah.
And then you have pasties on to make sure that it is Instagram and Facebook friendly, which is good. And then the legs are crossed so that are you wearing a C-string here or this is full nude?
Full nude.
Full nude. So that's the way that you can cover the crotches with the legs. And these are very, very high heels.
Oh, yeah.
6?
No, they're not that high. Maybe 4.5.
4.5. So very high heels. So again,
they're not comfortable at all. So balancing in a stiletto like that and I was sore the next day. Let me tell you that.
This is these poses, and for models out there, you pose in real life, but in a photo you pose a little bit more. Just like if it doesn't hurt, it means that you could stretch or bend or twist a little bit more. And the reason why this photo works super well. Hip is all the way popped out, butt is all the way popped on the other side, legs are crossed. I can see your calf muscles. So this is just the light falling down. That's why high contrast and very well placed lighting is where is can highlight also that little slip on the leg for where the calves are. Ooh, and I know this is just a one light thing, which is highly, highly impressive where we would show. So, well, thank you very much. This is just great. And I love that the pick is a combination of technical stuff, not just because of photography, because you know your body and you do your dance stuff. So this is highly amazing. And when people see this, again, audio listeners, there will be there's going to be a link in the description where you click into so that you can see the shots or see the shot.
Yeah.
And see Teak and Jac's masterpiece. She has it on her business cards. That's when you know that it's a good shot. So you won't put it on a business card if it's just like meh, right?
Yeah, no, I really wanted that like powerful shot, and I feel very powerful in it, which is also like it took me a long time to feel this kind of security in myself, and as a performer too, like as a person and as a performer. I've never felt this powerful before in my life.
That's great.
And so the fact that we got it in a photo is like, that's something to be really proud of.
Yeah.
And as someone who doesn't like to self-promote, this is one photo where I'm like,
see,
I could be fine just doing this and be outside.
You said it perfectly, and I think that's what real photography is all about. I mean, pictures are one thing, and we love and celebrate pictures. It's you capture a moment in time. It's a time machine. You get to be transported to the place where that photo was taken, remember memories, and that's fine. That's great. But a photograph is exactly, you feel we are never going to feel 100% powerful all the time.
Yeah.
Right. We're just ups and downs, but a great photograph will be able, and when captured, that feeling of power aesthetically, that is also pleasing, serves a function of promoting, because in the end, we're photographing for art's sake, but there's again, money is a thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You want people to contact you, want people to see you, want people to work with you. You have to capture them, and then images are the ones that can capture that attention quicker than anything else. Not videos, not 140 characters on a tweet, although it might be funny, but a photo I can look at and say, "Oop, like," and then now I can like, it's like lady again that I saw with the flamingo pose, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. So thank you again for shooting, spending time,
Of course.
letting us get to know you, and how to work with you and people like you in the industry. Before we go, just to tell everyone where they can find you, how they can contact you, shows and stuff, charities that you work with, all the stuff.
Yeah, so you can directly contact me at my Instagram handle, which is Jac Attaque NYC. I'll even spell it out because it's French. JACATTAQUE NYC. That's me. My next performances, I'm actually going to be. I don't know if I'm supposed to say this right now, but I actually have a show coming up at Slipper Room with, and I'm collaborating with Emily Shepard on this production, and I think that's going to be it's going to be like a monthly Wednesday. Not quite sure how consistent this is going to be, but this is something that we're going to try on for size. So I'm really excited to do that. And then I also perform and I choreograph for New York Cabaret, which is also an Emily Shepard production. And we're going to go to Puerto Rico. So if you'd like to come to Puerto Rico.
See you. See you in the PR.
Yeah. But, we have some exciting things happening with that probably early next year. But typically, I perform a lot at fine dining French restaurants. So at Le Goulou, Maison Close, those are my usual go-to venues. And then we're going to kind of just see where we go after that.
So make sure that you follow her Instagram. She'll be promoting all of her stuff there. If you're traveling from elsewhere in New York and you like French food and venues, why not add a little bit more entertainment on your end with one of the most beautiful creatures that you might see in town. So that is the Jac Attaque.
Thank you.
And again, thank you, you listeners and viewers. This is the Fun Shoot Podcast. We'll be releasing episodes most Fridays. So we're going to call it Fun Shoot Friday, where I sit with creators, light shapers, image makers, entertainers. We talk about their art, their passions. We will listen to them, we'll learn from them, steal all the good stuff, improve on the bad ones. And you can find us on YouTube, youtube.com/Jong, where you can also see all of the amazing performances, burlesque, sideshow, live band performances of me and my friends. So I drop videos every single week, so you can see live art on your screens. But if you don't want to watch us on demand, on video on demand, just hop on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or Amazon Music. Just search Fun Shoot Podcast. This will be there. Hopefully you subscribe to the channel, leave a review, leave some stars. It helps us with the algorithm. And you can also follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, on the other under the handle Jong at EL_JONG. We have a lot of projects coming up, and hopefully we'll see you there. Again, Jac, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And listeners, we'll see you in the next one. Bye.